This week, Imperva acquired by Thales, 3.6 billion. OneTrust collects 150 million in a down round. Protect AI raises 35 million. And Silicon Quantum Computing gets $34 million. So let's start with Thales acquiring Imperva. I'm not sure I completely understand the strategy here. Thales, from what I know about them, is like a massive engineering company. They do a lot of, high-end national security types of system integration as well. Obviously security is part of that. We saw their acquisition of Gemalto around 2019, 2020. That made a little bit more sense to me because Gemalto was sort of operating at that identity and edge of the identity kind of mass, thinking about airports and sort of national security kind of level identity projects there. Now, Imperva is a completely different sort of angle there. This is a web application, sort of DDoS, protection, cybersecurity company. Imperva is really at that application end of cybersecurity, which is kind of like in a bit of a contrast from my perspective. I might be wrong, but that's, these are kind of different areas. It'll be interesting to see if any more acquisitions from Thales. I'd imagine that's not the last in the cybersecurity space because they kind of say this is the foundational acquisition for it. Next company today is a company called OneTrust. This is actually a down round. So a down round is when the valuation of the company has come down since the last time it secured some funding. So OneTrust has secured $150 million in funding at a $4.5 billion valuation. However, only in December 2020 did they receive $300 million in funding, valued at $5.1 billion valuation. So there's a bit of a loss there in terms of current valuation, but it's not that far off. It's still a lot of money. They're still growing, and the valuation is still pretty close to that one a few years ago now. Let's look at OneTrust though. This is an interesting piece of software. This is really, in my opinion, sort of enterprise grade stuff. For me, you would really only acquire a platform and a capability like OneTrust if you're a big organization that has a dedicated team and executive responsible for some of the things that OneTrust helps with. This is all around privacy, social and environmental impact, corporate governance. So looking at all of the things in your organization that affect those types of key board level metrics. It's easy to understand the value proposition as soon as you get to the front pages of these websites. In most cases, I mean, they spend a lot of money on these things. But I like to get a sort of hands-on view of what we're talking about. How does that value proposition translate into software? Always jump into the platform sort of view of the world. It's obvious that OneTrust is going through a bit of an education process with its visitors. And I'd agree. I mean, I don't really know this area very well. And they're constantly telling a story here, helping to sort of educate you, make sure that you realize that this is actually a problem in your organization. We jump into a little bit of a platform intro here. It's not really there. Little bits of snippets of data, maybe what you might be dealing with. Okay, so this is interesting. Tap into a contributor network of over 1,500 expert legal contributors. I wonder if that's kind of like a platform or if these people are hired by OneTrust. See, it's kind of like providing a service, but they've got a platform. I'd really need to understand what that means. It's still a little light on in terms of actually sort of what does the platform look like? Like what kind of insights am I showing? Give me an example of something I can use and go, okay, yep, click, boom, I understand what that will do for me. The value proposition's clear, but I want to see a little bit of meat on the bone because you never want to enter into some of these sort of buying cycles. And it's all just like, oh yeah, that's kind of, you have to do this thing and implement this completely custom way to get exactly what you need there. But our value proposition is really good. You got to get a demo from these types of companies. There's no pricing or anything here. Free trial though. I'm sure let me see, free trial. Hand me over all your details. Not today. I'm not even sure. I mean, possibly it provisions and gives you a 14 free day trial, but I would be surprised if that happens. Yeah, a member of our team will reach out. So you got to go through. It's not just sort of like fill out the details, boom, here's your login details, and start playing around with it. In my opinion, this value proposition is only getting stronger with the rise of AI. Next company is a company called Protect AI, who received 35 million in a Series A. Protect AI's value proposition is around protecting large language models and AI applications. Not an area I would know like what's involved in terms of protection. Obviously, there's lots of data there, so and like any application, you've got to make sure it's secure. Let's have a little look through AI Radar. What does that mean? AI Radar helps your enterprise build safe AI, going beyond traditional security practices by providing AI developers, ML engineers, apps professionals a way to see, know, and manage an ML environment. Okay, a little bit of a screenshot there, but what does that actually mean? ML SecOps, a super basic website here. It's really difficult to understand exactly what they do, and there's some small sort of screenshots. Okay, securing AI. To be honest, I can't really tell how you would do that or why it's different to securing normal development environments. ND Defense is the industry's first solution to address vulnerabilities in a core component used at the beginning of a machine learning. Shift left security for data side, an industry first security scanner for Jupyter notebooks. What's Jupyter notebooks? Free software, open standard, and web services interactive computing across all programming language. Jupyter, the next generation notebook interface. I have no idea what this is. Okay, so I think Jupyter Notebooks is like a documentation system for sort of really ground level computer development or programming development. And then this helps provide security layer on those notebooks. So if you've left secrets, in plain text or something in these notebooks, or sensitive data, obviously. Okay, but I don't know anything about this area. That's a really specific use case there, talking about NB Defense AI Radar. Anyway, they've got 35 million. That's a really big round. There's obviously some cool stuff under the hood there, because that's a lot of money. Way too early by the looks of things. I think these guys must have just come out of stealth, because let's have a look. Press here, 13.5 million. When was this? 6 months ago, they came out of stealth with 13.5 million in a new product. Okay, so they're still early days. They're probably still developing and not sharing exactly everything that they're doing here. Wow. Okay. We'll keep an eye on this one. So the last one today is an Australian company called Silicon Quantum Computing. Guess what they do? Anyway, they received $34 million in a Series A, or 50.4 million in Aussie dollars. Highly technical quantum computing company here, really working at the forefront of scientific development in the computing world. There's a huge amount of attention around quantum computing at the moment. It's extremely technical. Have a look up quantum computing. I don't think it's incredibly hard to understand sort of enough of the top layer to understand sort of how it may do that, because it's very different to the ones and zeros that traditional computing is built on. Australian company. Let's have a look at who's involved with this company. It may give an indication of just how promising this is. Michelle Simmons, meet our team. Australian of the Year 2018. Absolute weapon, this lady. Look at that CV there. All of these people just have amazing experience. Yeah, this is a good machine. We got one of these in the office. We tinker around with it sometimes. It's really cool. So Silicon Quantum Computing are really trying to commercialize quantum computing. I think there's still a fair way to go until we get there. They've got some pretty aggressive targets. This isn't the type of thing at the moment. I don't think the idea is that with quantum computers, I'm going to have a quantum computer sitting right next to me. That could be maybe in the future. But this is a really good use case of like as a service. The more of these we get, and the more ways that people learn how to use them, delivered as a service from these sort of core areas and paying for that time is probably the delivery model I'd expect. Now, the value proposition is all around artificial intelligence, and think about the power of those two things coming together. That's when it gets scary. Anyway, thanks very much. One big acquisition, and 3 rounds of funding for this week. Let's see what happens over the next 7 days.